Hi guys, I don't know if notifications are working or not. It's weird because I was just looking at my chat and I didn't see anyone here, and that's very
Hi guys, I don't know.
it's very, very unusual. I can see people waiting, but I don't see literally anyone in the chat, which is really bizarre. Normally, before I get started on a live, people are like bopping in chat and they are hanging out. So I'm not sure. I'm having some issues. I did just do a bunch of uploads like back to back to back. So maybe notifications are a little bit off. I got started really late today and I was working on, you know how you ever like start on one of those days and you're like, okay, I am going to go into a direction that I don't normally go, and I know that if I talk about this on my channel, literally nobody's going to watch it because nobody watches anything unless I talk about fundamentalism. And it didn't give you an option to type before you went live. Really? You just randomly saw it. Yeah, I don't know if... Obviously, nobody's getting notified right now. I just uploaded a video not long ago, and I think I did 4 different uploads or 3 different uploads today. So I'll just wait. I haven't been doing a lot of live streams on this channel, and I've been trying to just keep it to the uploaded content because I know that's like honestly what you guys really enjoy. You like the short, the concise videos. You like the videos that have, I don't even know, how do you say it? Not as many distractions. One of the biggest criticisms I get from my audience about my live streams is that I get distracted by the chat, and that is definitely my bad. It's very hard. I have ADHD. I know some of you else do. That's why the uploads tend to work better for me, because I can just, I can edit out my distractiveness or distractionness. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. This is very impromptu. I was actually spending the day on I got into a rabbit hole, and I've been in a rabbit hole for a while, and I've been watching the stuff happening on the platform, and I've been watching these stories going on. And as much as I love to talk about the fundamentalism and the Duggars and reality television, there's this draw that I've always had to uncovering sort of the layers of what people are doing on YouTube when they're not doing things that they're supposed to be doing. Now, the problem is that there's so many channels that do that. So the pool of channels that cover the same topics that happen on YouTube tends to get very diluted. And so I've found that, sticking to what I do best, which is the fundamentalism, is generally what makes this channel the happiest. But then there's other things that I get passionate about, or I see a story that really like resonates with me, or I feel like, oh, this is something that I feel like my audience might need to know, but I don't always know how to like introduce a new topic in a way that will like grab your attention, because sometimes it's like with people that you guys have like never heard of. So like, I think a lot about my audience here, and I think about what it is and who you guys are. And I look at my demographics, and I know that for the most part, you're women. Many of you are from like 18 to 55 years old. A lot of you are moms, and some of you are not, but for the most part, it's a lot of moms. And I think that's just because of the nature of the stuff that I cover, and just, people of all walks of life, people that come from all different directions. And sometimes I see a story and I'm like, okay, how do I like get this to a wider audience? You're 60. Dawn says, I'm 60. Well, welcome, Dawn. Everyone is young here. Welcome, Deb. Thanks for being here. I'm doing great. You're 62. You're 60. Awesome. Well, welcome to this. My husband just turned 50. I still can't believe that. I still can't believe my husband's 50. Okay. You're 48. Yeah. So I actually said in my other video, like I have a little bit of a more mature audience, and I didn't mean to be rude. It was more just like, I don't know, my audience aren't 12 and 15-year-olds. I've never had a 12 or 15-year-old audience. Most of my audience doesn't care about the drama that happens on YouTube. But I was thinking about this from like a parent perspective. And I was thinking about this because I have an 8-year-old son. So I have always been looking at stories from a investigative standpoint. And I've always liked to understand all the dynamics that go into people. And I like to uncover and examine all the different facets of stories. And, you know, it's amazing what you can learn as you sort of peel the onion behind facades. And I think that's why I love doing reality television, because the veneer that we see on reality TV is so very different than the actual reality of who the people are behind the stories. And you're pretty interested in your 18. So there's obviously these influencers that have, I love it seeing all your different ages here. You're 18, you're 20, you're, oh, this person says they're 12. Please make sure that you check with your mom that it's okay to watch this, because this is going to have a little bit more mature content. And don't feel like you have to actually disclose your age. Anyways, I haven't been doing as many live streams, and I haven't been really talking off the cuff lately, so I apologize. You're ageless. Okay, so anyways, there's this story that's been going on, and I've really been trying to sort of stay away from a lot of the drama that happens on YouTube. Obviously, having just gotten out of my own situation, not by choice, obviously. I understand that things can happen on this platform, and it can happen to you whether you ask for it to happen or not. And things can happen to people that are involved with creators, and creators that have really large platforms can do amazing things. Like they can use their platforms for like amazing philanthropic purposes or educational purposes, or they can really help to deliver messages that are powerful and empowering, and they can really help shape positivity on the platform or bring a level of just authenticity. And then there's this other part of YouTube, sort of the underside, I say, where, you know, people end up coming onto YouTube and maybe don't even realize that with a little bit of work and time and effort, you can build a platform. And if you have enough engaged audience and maybe a little skill and your talent, you can grow and harvest and really cultivate an audience. And sometimes that means you make a lot of money. It also means that as you become more visible, I guess, it's weird because most people that come onto YouTube are virtually unknown, right? So you are coming from a place of just being a nobody. You're just somebody that's at your house and you're like, I'm going to go make a video. And then suddenly people want to watch you and they're like, you're so cool. You're so awesome. I think you're great. They resonate with what you talk about. And I think it can kind of go like two separate ways. Like people can stay humble and they can stay really consistent to who they are. And they may not care so much about the fame and the money and the power. And then there's other people that really get intoxicated by that fame and that money and that power. And I feel like sometimes that what happens on YouTube is that when you're young and you get that fame and that money and that power, you have really nobody telling you no. Right? You see it a lot with child stars, with young musicians or actors that get their fame at a young age, maybe their late teens, early 20s, and they don't have the maturity or the world experience or life experience to really know how to handle fame. And they always say they always say about child stars that you almost stop maturing at the age that you become famous. So they also say that fame in a lot of ways is very traumatic. And I would actually have to agree with that. there is a lot of trauma when you become famous. And it's not something that I think like, and I'm not saying I'm famous, but there is a lot of trauma that becomes when you become a public figure, because sometimes when you come onto this platform, you're not expecting to become a public figure. You're just doing it for fun. And then you suddenly have an audience and you weren't expecting that nor prepared for what that meant. And so I think with that, you see a lot of people come onto the platform who are inexperienced. They don't come from like the acting world. They're not as polished. They don't have agents. They don't have PR teams. They don't have anyone that is there to really guide them. And they also don't have anyone around them, like a studio to keep them in line, to dictate how their image is going to be portrayed. When you are your own boss and there's literally the world is your platform and anything you put out there can garner you money by the amount of views that you get, it can really encourage a lot of creativity, but it can also encourage really bad behavior, or it can encourage like this anteing up of behavior. And there was this time on YouTube where prank channels were like super, super big. If you think about it, there was like those parent channels where the parents would do like pranks on their kids, like Daddy 05, that's just like one I can think off the top of my head, where they had their, the parents would pull these awful pranks on their kids. And then you would be like, oh, that's actually really mean, but with a little bit of fame and a little bit of influence and power and money, it was like they got sort of intoxicated and stuck in the world of YouTube. And they do say that as you grow in YouTube, you have to find a way to separate yourself from who you are on YouTube from who you are in the real world. And the lines can kind of blur. And a lot of people on YouTube are only one side of who they are, or they're only showing you one aspect of who they are, and they sort of filter out the rest. And some people on YouTube are playing a character. And so for audiences, that creates a lot of confusion, because audiences think that literally everyone on the platform is lying, or they think that everyone on the platform is telling the truth. And some people have a hard time differentiating between it all together. And I know I do. Like, I'll watch someone and I'll literally think they're being like exactly who they are. And then you find out like that's not even who they are. Like, they're playing a character, and you're confused because you're like, what? I thought you were like that person, honestly. So anyways, I was thinking about it. You like new topics? All right, wonderful. So I was thinking about how, I got totally distracted again there because I saw that comment. So, sometimes when we're watching someone, we don't really know who we're watching. Okay. And so a lot of times I think about this a lot with my son. My son watches a lot of gamers on YouTube, and we watch a lot of like the Gaming Beaver, and there's this guy named Pungence, and then there's this guy, I can't remember what his name is. He plays Minecraft, and there's a bunch of Godzilla channels that we watch, and you don't really know who these people are that your kids are watching. You don't really know, like, all you know is the content that they're putting out. You don't know like whether or not that person is actually a good person, or, if they're doing something behind the scenes that's bad or wrong. And so you start to wonder, like, who are my kids watching? And that is really like how I felt when I saw this story. So a lot of people that are in my age bracket would not know who this is, right? Like, I don't know Vlog Squad. I'm not like cool on like these little like clans that are on like TikTok, or these little groups that like collaborate and do stuff. So in terms of Vlog Squad, there's this guy named David Dobrik, and obviously some of you guys know who he is and some of you don't. And I did a video, and I like put the video up, and I was like, I spent time and energy uploading it and talking about it. And I was like, nobody's going to watch this video. Literally no one's going to watch this video because, one, my audience doesn't know his name. It's not a fundamentalist. They're not going to care. It's not going to drive views. No one's going to be interested in this because it's just not, an easy, it's just it's an unfamiliar name. And I feel like a lot of times on this channel specifically, people are very familiar about what it is that they want to watch. Oh, this one says, it's hard when you have to convince an 8-year-old that their favorite YouTuber was not kidnapped and it was all a skit. So I totally get what you're saying. So we were actually watching this show called like Addie, and there's this channel called like Addie and God, I can never remember the little girls' names. It's 2 little girls, Jillian and Addie. And they do these like skits, and sometimes like they rewatch what they've done, and you know, the little girls actually get sad because they rewatch what their dad made them do, and they're having a hard time processing that like the storyline that their dad put together was not actually what happened. So like my son and I, he loves Jillian and Addie, and for all intents and purposes, they seem like an innocent enough group of girls, or 2 little sisters. My always concern for them is they have like 3 channels. So I wonder like how much the parents are having them work. And they've been on YouTube for so many years, and they have like this merch line. And it's like, that's always like where my heart goes as a mom, is like, how much are these kids working? But they have really like entertaining topics for my kid, and he loves them. And they're cute girls, right? And I wonder sometimes, like, you know, we're watching these girls and you know nothing about what's going on in their lives, right? You don't know anything about who these kids are. You don't know anything about what's going on behind the scenes. And so that's just an example of Jillian and Addie. But getting back to David Dobrik kind of was this guy. He doesn't really make as many of these vlogs anymore because he's sort of moved on to like Nickelodeon and hosting and doing all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, a couple years ago, oh, I'm thirsty. Does everyone have their drinks and wine? A couple years ago, it was all the rage. Vlog Squad was really big. Everyone really loved them, I guess, for the kids. Okay. And they were making these videos that were just sort of like 4-minute and 20-second bursts. And they had like explosions and pranks and jumping off of, you know, buildings and sexist jokes, racist jokes. I don't see the appeal at all when I look at the channel. I think it's really juvenile. I thought the jokes were really basic, really ugly. Lots of jokes about, you know, ripping on different nationalities, mocking people that speak different languages, dressing up like Native Americans, really sexist jokes about women, objectifying women, pranks related to hooking up with women, pranks of like farting on people, kissing people, just asinine sort of frat boy behavior. And so I could see like how this all would play out, but YouTube Kids is a good option. So this channel really reverberated to young people, and especially young boys. And I have an 8-year-old son. So I'm like thinking about how, you know, in a couple of years, maybe he'll be interested in that kind of content. I don't know. I feel like my son will be more interested in like the gamers. He really just likes the guys that play video games. Like that's just what he likes. So I don't know. And I hope that that's not like what he's into. But yeah, David is horrible. Let me see if I can show you an example, like of just to give you an idea of like how he talks. Give me 1 second. I have some clips here. I just got to figure out where they are. Okay. And I don't know who this girl is that's with him. I think she's like maybe one of, I don't know. She's in the Vlog Squad, I think. It's particularly offensive though. So please like try not to get upset by this. Okay.
Threesome, and I think we're all going to jail. Oh man, I think we're all going to jail. All right, that's it. Dude. See you in 20 years. Just had a threesome, and
Okay, so that was actually filmed after he allegedly filmed a woman being RAPED'd or SA'd while she was incapacitated. So that's like them joking about going to jail because they might have potentially maybe done something they shouldn't have done. Here's another one. This is them making fun of, like, I believe Chinese or Asian. I don't know what, if it's Chinese, if it's Japanese, if it's, I don't want to like insult anyone within this community, but this is them like mocking people that eat or various foods from, I think maybe Japan.
Yeah, there we go. First we're starting out with No! It's not racist. That's like the sounds I hear when they talk.
No, it's not racist as long as I keep saying no.
Oh, okay.
No!
What?
I know, I just have to keep saying no.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, eventually, feel free to send them our way. We'll make fancy jokes about them. Thank you guys so much. All of this was a joke. We didn't taste anything. No, but all of this was a joke. We don't actually know Japanese as convincing as we said.
I'm sorry I made so many Japanese jokes. Oh, it's just not Japanese. Nah, come on.
David! Description below.
Do it.
So I don't know why you would want to like put that up on YouTube, but that's just me. Then there's this. So a woman has accused him of filming non-consensual you would think that anyone that has access to children. Yeah, and he's on an anti-bullying campaign right now. So he is touring high schools around the country and giving kids like, what does this say? So he's on this anti-bullying campaign, but he's literally accused of filming a woman being essayed for a vlog that was not consensual, and that he's going on this tour. Where is it? I wasn't prepared to actually show you guys slides, but I feel like sometimes it's better to show you the slides. So here is like Kat Tenbarge did an article where she basically revealed what had happened. This is the article. A woman featured on a YouTube star David Dobrik's channel says that she was essayed by a Vlog Squad member in 2018, the night they filmed a video about group SEX. Okay. So they film these girls and they get them really intoxicated because the girls basically said no. And then while they're in the middle of the unconsensual or essay, they're all standing outside the room, like watching.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. We got 3 in there. Jordan's gonna peek in so he can describe it to me.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't look at that. We have to leave the apartment. Why are you just like listening to this?
What's happening? I opened the door and I said, wow, they look kind of good.
Holy shit.
It smells like someone was murdered in here.
Dom, what's up, dude? You are sweating like a racehorse. Was that your first threesome?
Yeah. Yeah, smell my finger.
No.
It's so gross. So apparently that part of it was like filmed afterwards. So she was blacked out. She was unable to stand. She actually fell asleep, like unconscious at one point. And I don't mean to smile while I'm watching it. I don't condone that kind of behavior, obviously. But she was blacked out drunk. She could not stand. She could not walk. She could not move. It's definitely not something that you should be laughing about. And she was so incapacitated that after it all happened, after they were all eavesdropping, her friends had to go back into the room, and they had to dress her. They had to help carry her out. They had to get her dressed, helped her puke. Why was I smiling? Because I'm uncomfortable. But the video is ridiculous. So when you watch the video, you don't actually like see what's happening behind the scenes, because this was all like refilmed. So yeah, she never reported it to police, but she doesn't remember anything. Yeah, her friends had to carry her out of the room, and David and her friends, like David and his friends, got into a car, into their Tesla, and that's the part where they filmed and said, we're probably going to jail, as though they knew that what had just transpired might have been like sort of towing the line of legalities, because even in the beginning of the vlog, they say that the girls weren't into it, but then after some coercion, meaning they got them drunk. And anytime you have to get a girl drunk to give you what you want, you know that that's not a good deal. That's not, it's predatory. You know that if you get a girl who's young and you get alcohol in them, their inhibitions go down. The more intoxicated they get, the less likely they are to say no, the more willing or more able they're to do things that they may not do normally. I think enough of you in the audience may have gone through something similar like that. Like, I know that I had situations like that when I was in college, where I had far too much to drink, that I woke up in situations with guys that I was very like, how did I get here? Why am I here? Who is this person? Yeah. He blindfolded a friend and had his friend kiss a guy after telling the guy that he would be kissing a girl. And that guy came out and said he felt very violated by that. And what kind of friends leave you in this kind of situation? Well, her friends were all intoxicated. So I think that's really like unfair in a way to say about someone. I mean, I can understand like being outraged, but if all of your friends are intoxicated and all of your friends are drinking, how are they to stop what's happening when there's powerful men around them? They're all bigger than them. And, you know, they did actually, hold on a second. You want to get out of here? Okay. Hold on. Okay. But they talked a lot about how, you know, they went there because they wanted to meet David. So the girls were lured over to this guy's house, Dom, and the girls didn't leave her. They actually rescued her. So her friends, realizing what had happened, went into the room to go get her. They got her dressed. They helped her vomit. They got her home. They dressed, you know, her friends felt terrible. Is this real or is this fake? It really happened. So Kat Tembarge did an investigation from Business Insider and actually interviewed this girl. And Trisha Paytas was there the night that this all happened. And all the people in this situation say that this act happened. It's whether or not, you know, the guys say that it's everyone was into it and the girls are saying that's not true. There was a lot of there was a lot of valid point. She said, I see what you mean about celebrity shock. I missed that from earlier. Any coerced contact is assault. This is very true. Zag says any contact with a non-consenting person is assault. Any contact with an unconscious person is assault. So what really triggers me, yes. So he did actually post that vlog onto his YouTube channel. It had around 5 million views. And the girl, months later, after realizing and understanding more, because, you know, when you go through an assault like this, and I can only tell you because of my own experience, especially when there's drugs or alcohol involved, you go through, like your brain goes into like trauma shock. And so you don't really understand what happened to you. And then you have lack of memory. So it's hard to connect the dots of, was this just a mistake? And we're so conditioned in our society to believe that, you know, you just deserved it because you were drunk. And so there's like that shame that you have of like, well, I just drank too much. I put myself in the situation. It's my fault it happened. But in truth, it's not your fault that it happened. It's never your fault that it's happened. It was the man's fault that decided to do that, knowing how incapacitated you were. And everyone that was there, that was with this girl, said it was very obvious, like how out of it she was. And even her friend who was in the threesome with her basically said that she fell asleep at one point and he kept going and he was just like, he wouldn't stop. And so she actually like pushed him off of her. And she like the text messages or the way that it was described in the article was like she finished him for her friend so that her friend wouldn't actually have to finish him. And that's so horrible. But she basically made him climax so that he would stop. And so you think about how there's a lot of shame when it comes to women and drinking. There's a lot of shame that comes with, well, I put myself into the situation. It's my fault, which it's not your fault. If you cannot consent, you cannot consent, and it's against the law. So at most states, you have to be completely capacitated. You can't be intoxicated. When you're intoxicated, you cannot consent. And she was way past the point of being able to consent. So unfortunately, she didn't go to police. And, you know, this is a situation where when you don't have a story, these are the hardest cases to actually prove, because the guy will have a story and he'll be able to say, well, no, she was totally into it and she never told me no. And she won't be able to remember. And so she won't be able to tell the police like, well, I didn't want to do it, you know, or I didn't want this. So it sucks because it ends up becoming a he said, she said. But in this case, when I was actually reading through this and I started like looking at the facts, if she were to go to police, she has enough friends that were there that would actually be able to corroborate what she went through and be able to talk about how drunk she was and how unable she was to move. And if her friend witnessed what was happening and her friend that was involved in it can actually say, like, this is what happened, like they literally could get this man charged with a crime. So I'm seeing a lot of people talk about this. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about this and I'm like, okay, maybe what the encouraging thing to do is, and so, you know, you have David then puts up the video and makes money off of it a lot. It gets 5 million views and it's played off as though it's a consensual, fun night, and it wasn't a fun night. It completely misrepresented what happened that night to the extent that they had to go back and refilm parts of it. Like the part where at the end where they go into his room is not that same night, because the night that it all happened, she was so wasted and so drunk that she was puking everywhere. So there would have been no way for them to just go into his room and the girls not be there. she could still file criminal charges. So I think in the state of California, they have a lot better for statutes, but this was only 3 years ago. And generally for these types of crimes, I mean, it sucks that there's even statute of limitations, but a lot of times with these types of crimes, it's like 7 to 10 years. But in California, I believe they actually got rid of some of those. So she could still press charges against them. And if she had her friends that were willing to actually like go on as witnesses, and then you have all these other YouTubers that theoretically could be witnesses to this. And you see now a lot of the people on YouTube that are connected to this trying to distance themselves from the responsibility of what happened that night. So David, his argument, okay, I'm not getting super chats, so I'm not sure like why you're saying that anyone's exploiting this. Okay. So, and I'd like to remind you guys that there's lots of channels talking about this. I am not the only one talking about this. I'm honestly one of like the latest ones to come into this story. H3 podcast did a literal live stream where they had like 30,000+ people in as soon as the story dropped. So I'm like way late to the game here. Anyways, this person said I would be suing YouTube. I would hope that David wasn't getting super chats. So David's was a 4-minute vlog where he literally did the vlog and he went up on the vlog and that's it. Like uploads, you don't get super chats. So I'm assuming that she's talking about me talking about this right now. So, and I'm certainly not trying to exploit anyone's experience or their story. My point here is that she has an option and an opportunity to actually, if she wanted to, press charges. And I think that if more people in the community would be supportive of, you know, more victims coming forward, because I'm guessing she's not the only victim. And if more people in the community were more willing to, you know, be less vile to victims of these kinds of crimes, it would create an opportunity for more people to speak out. And I think that when we start talking about this specific case, the hard thing is that it has happened a few years ago, but if more people come out and start talking about this, the better chance that the people that are involved in this can be held accountable. So the really frustrating part in all of this to me is that there's really I'm not seeing any sort of connection to, I'm just gonna, if you'd like to join the chat, there you go. It's just the chat's moving really fast and I'm trying to stay on topic here. But, you know, if there's an environment here where we're not accusing people of being clout chasers or accusing people of doing things to get attention, I think there is such a negative connotation when anyone that's been a victim of someone who's a larger influencer and they accuse them of doing something. Yes, there are people that lie, but when you have allegations that are this serious and you have people that are around them that can all corroborate it, and you have a main media outlet like Business Insider doing the digging on it, you start to realize that there's meat to this. There's truth to this. And what I'm not seeing in all of this is David's sponsors responding to it. It's very weird to me that an allegation this big, where he is accused of filming the alleged assault, and his sponsors and his the people that are paying him are not speaking out. I have not seen a thing about the no hate tour, the anti-bullying tour. this man is going into high schools right now and talking to teenagers about bullying, but he is accused of filming a woman being SA'd and then coercing and manipulating and bullying the people in his vlog squad. Why hasn't there been a reaction from the people that are around him when there's so many people that were there that are saying that he was doing these kinds of things? Like, why is there such a disconnect between, like, I think about it, if this was like a woman, I feel like if this was a woman, we would be canceling her, right? I think of like Micah Stauffer. She adopted a child and then she rehomed the child and she lost everything, literally lost everything, right? Everyone dropped her within the matter of days. And there's just been not the same response to this. And it's so awful to me. And it just is another reminder about how we don't believe victims of these kinds of crimes, or we are quick to disbelieve it or question the validity of the story, or give men so many chances and passes. And you just start to feel like, is this going to get pushed under the rug? Are we going to let another person slide by? Are we going to be able to get, more people? Is he not going to be held accountable? Is he going to be able to stay on YouTube? And it reminds me like how, James Charles only a couple weeks ago is literally posting on Twitter that he was exchanging lewd photos with a minor. Okay. A 21-year-old man got up on his Twitter account and said, I totally exchanged photos with this kid, but he lied about his age. He lied about his age, so I'm good. He lied about his age, so I'm good. In what world is exchanging nudes with a minor and they lie about their age at all acceptable? Like, if you were in the real world and you were an adult and you weren't famous, you would be arrested if you made that same admission, right? You're literally admitting that you gave photos and you exchanged photos of someone that's not consented, that can't consent. And even if they lied, he would still, it's still the onus on the adult. It's still the onus on the adult, and it's still the responsibility of the adult. Yes, H3 Podcast has all the allegations against David. I don't really want to rehash all of the allegations because there's so many of them. But yes, that's a really good point. Victoria, H3 Podcast, Frenemies, has been going into deep. They did a whole podcast about the article. They even interviewed Kat Tenbarge. But it's bizarre to me how, James can get on his platform and be like, yes, I totally did. But he lied and he said he was 18. And so because he said he was 18, we're somehow okay with it? What? In the real world, even if someone lies to you, it's your responsibility. Yes, Steph Noodles has some good stuff on this too, is for sure. Yeah, and ignorance does not negate responsibility at all. And he's still, oh, okay. Thank you for correcting this. She says, not all of the girls were drunk. There was a sober one there, and she was the designated driver, Sarah. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. So not all the girls were intoxicated, as you can see. So if we have a lot of people that are, it's just mind-numbing to me when I see all of these kids that follow them that are like, well, there's just a clout chaser. Oh, or they're so young, they don't understand the legalities of it. And there's like literally no adults in the room that are like telling these kids like, no, this is not true. You should not be believing this. Like James Charles literally admitted to committing a crime. He literally admitted in his Twitter thing to committing a crime. And nobody, not one of his sponsors dropped him. No sponsor dropped him. If that were a man admitting to getting, and I just want to ask the audience, and this to me is why I feel like victims, male victims, are not taken seriously when it comes to crimes of SA or of grooming. They're not taken as seriously as girls. But if he were a man doing that, how would the audience react? If you found out that a 21-year-old boy was soliciting nudes from a 16-year-old girl, what would the response be from the wider public? It's a really sad reality for male victims because they're not believed or it's not taken seriously. It's like we're still in this world where we can't believe that men can be victims. And it's sad because men can be victims. Abby says, I don't understand how people are getting away with this. Laura says the public would have gone nuclear. Right. They would have taken it seriously. The guy probably would have been arrested. He would have been on like To Catch a Predator. 100% a different reaction. It's like we've made, and it makes me sad because we've made gay men who are probably experiencing heavy levels of assault and of discrimination. And then when when a crime happens to them, we're not believing them. And that's not okay in my eyes. And it's not okay to me that he can have a child admit, and then blame the child for saying that he's 18. He's a fully legal adult who should be facing consequences for his actions. Exactly. There's also a power dynamic when you talk about being on YouTube and interacting with your fans. When you have millions of people that are your fans, you probably shouldn't be going into your fan pool to find a date because you are automatically in a power position when you are interacting with them because they will do and say anything, many of them, because they don't want to lose that connection to you. They will give you whatever you want because they want to be close to you. They want a part of you. And when you are asking for those things from your fans in an inferior position, that's also abusive. And that's also predatory. You have to be able to understand the line between you and your fans and you not cross that line. And unfortunately, some of these kids got fame when they were so damn young that they never have learned boundaries and they don't care. And they just have no experience and no humility to understand that there are consequences for their actions. To put it into perspective, James is almost 22. If a 22-year-old high school teacher solicited photos from their teenage student, they would be arrested. Correct. David's apology was not an apology. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's my question too, is James Charles, with 20 zillion people, so famous, why would you put yourself in the position where you're perusing on Instagram and you're looking for men to exchange nudes with? Young men. Why are you using your Instagram and looking at people that follow you and saying, I want to get a nude from that person? There's only one reason in my mind you would ask someone who's following you for a nude, is because you know that you'll get it, because you know that you're famous and you know that they'll do what you want. And it's also concerning to me that you're literally using your fan pool to get nudes. That is so disturbing to me. Like, who are the people in this man's life that's not like, you need to not go on your Instagram and ask for nudes? Is that a problem that he's dealing with? Is it like a compulsive issue? Is he so compulsively addicted to the power? Is it like, what is it that's driving him to do that? Is he doing it because he can get away with it? Is he doing it because he knows he can get what he wants? That's using his fans. Charm and charisma have always been a gateway to manipulate. And when people like James have fans and stands, it's his charm and charisma he puts on the camera to manipulate those who trust him. And I've told you guys of my experience with him. And I still believe James to be an incredibly manipulative person. I believe that he was targeted in the past. I believe that he's been falsely accused in the past. But I also believe you can be falsely accused and then you can also become what you've been falsely accused of. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess, in a way. And my interactions with him were incredibly manipulative. Why is a creator with millions of subscribers in your DMs asking you to do things for them? Favors, someone you've never talked to, and acting as though they care about you. And then you realize you've done something for them and you've been manipulated because you wanted to please them, because you're almost starstruck that someone with that many millions of subscribers bothered to talk to you. Like, why would that person be interested in me? My tiny, tiny platform by comparison is like, he could gain 100,000 subscribers in one day. I keep hearing people talking about pretty privilege. How much do you think that goes into the situation? Well, I think with Vlog Squad, it's very white privilege. It's white men that are getting away with a lot of things that I think men of minorities would not get away with, or men of color would not get away with. I don't think that David's pretty. I think David got away with it because he had money. So I feel like some people overcompensate and they have the physical appearance that will get them what they want. And then I think other people may feel like they're lacking in that physical aesthetic. And so then they flex their, I'm super rich, I'm super this, I'm super that. And I was like looking at his views. He's got this like channel called Views. David is actually ugly, LOL. And for a lot of young women, money talks. It's the money talk situation very well. Yes, exactly. So let me look at his views channel. I was looking at his views channel and I remember like reading the, I never play a lot of his videos because he's so petty too that he will copyright strike you if you do more than 10 seconds. This is a man who's a multi-millionaire that will copyright strike you for 10 seconds of a video. I remember I did like 15 seconds and I got a strike, or I got a claim. Where are his channels?
Real quick, can address some conversations that...
Okay. This is their views channel, okay? And it says on their About tab, it says official YouTube channel of the video podcast Views, co-hosted by the sexy 24-year-old millionaire David Dobrik and 47-year-old divorced dad Jason Nash. Very petty. So you're 24-year-old millionaire. Why is that in your time? Like, see if you can see that. You see that? That's their About in that channel. I don't know if that's trying to be a joke. Oh. But I also think it's super weird that Jason Nash, as a 47-year-old, was hanging out with this kid when he was like 19 years old. I'm like rewatching these vlogs that Jason's in, and I think it's really weird that an adult that age is hanging out with a kid. And it makes me feel like he's hanging out with a kid because he wants access to what that kid has. And not very cute. Why is it exactly? Why is a 24-year-old doing videos with a 47-year-old? That's my thing. Is like, I love my younger viewers. I do. But I'm not going to do collabs. I'm not going to do collabs with a 20-year-old. Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? We don't have the same aesthetic. We don't have the same appeal. We don't have the same audience. I feel like when you are an older person, and I don't mean that to be derogatory, but when you have your years are older than somebody else and you are preying on people that are younger than you, I feel like there's a level of just predatory behavior in that. And I don't understand why there's not a lot of like coming down on Jason as much as there is on David. Jason is 100% so lucky that Trisha was looking out for him. Jason could have been wrapped into this whole situation and David would have thrown him under the bus. Yeah. When you watch how they treated Trisha though, I've watched those from a different perspective of looking at like Trisha and seeing her in a different lens. And you kind of see how terribly they treated her. And you begin to realize that like Trisha was just someone that wanted friends. Honestly, like that's how I view it. I see Trisha wanted some friends. And they pretended to be her friend, and she became like their like verbal punching bag and the butt of their jokes. Yeah, and Jason is horrible. Madison says, I'm 22 and I wouldn't even collab with an 18-year-old. Like I might interview a 22-year-old or like talk to like a 22-year-old, but like I don't collab. I'm not a collab channel. It never works on YouTube. You don't really have a lot of friends on YouTube. A lot of people want either a piece of you, or it's just hard to make friends on YouTube, let's just say. That's not to say that I don't think there's a lot of wonderful creators out there. I think it's just very hard to trust people on YouTube. You don't know who you can trust. You don't know who is going to backstab you. You don't know who's going to make an exposed video about you. You don't know who's talking to you to try to get info on you to make a video about you. It's just there's so many dynamics about YouTube that if I would have known now what I know, like if I knew now and I could go back 2 years ago, I would do things so differently. She says, I feel bad for Jason's kids right now. He's involved them way too much on his channel. You know, they are getting it from their peers. I'm sure. Jason gets manipulated by David a lot and was going through a divorce when they first met. I think Jason is really broken and probably pretty immature for his age. Maybe, but he's still there now. The way Jason belittled Trisha is just horrible. The way that he fat shamed her, the way that he talked about the amount of food that she ate, the way that they made her feel like she was crazy. It just has helped paint a narrative that she's not believable when she speaks out against them. And like she'll troll and do stuff, but I feel like her story with these two has been consistent. And I feel like when Trisha does have something that's like valid and that isn't lying, her story doesn't change. And her story has never changed about Jason and David. So I'm inclined to believe her, and then I'm now inclined to believe her even more now that more people are coming forward. So you have to start to wonder what role David and Jason played in making her credibility look and appear less once she left Vlog Squad. You know, you have to start to wonder, you know, when someone has a lot of money and has a lot of influence, how they can manipulate the audiences around them. And you do see that. You see people on this platform when someone does them wrong or is getting in the way of the narrative or is, you know, going to maybe show something that they don't want others to see, they'll go to no ends to try to destroy that person's credibility and try to ruin them. And that's why people on YouTube end up being so freaked out to speak out, because you know that if you speak out, you're going to be on the end of somebody else's wrath who has the power to destroy you. And that again creates more of an unequal balance. It's just sad. And I feel like what you're seeing with David and what you see with James is just a symptom of the way bigger problem on this platform as a whole. Is people that have power and money and influence can do whatever they want, and people are paralyzed because they don't want to get sued. They don't want to sign an NDA, whatever. And it sucks. So she said, I watched a lot of David's videos and podcasts. A 100% power thing for David and Jason only worked with him because he was broke. Probably. I agree with you, Katie. That's why people are now disbelieving Trisha. I did make the same comment on Twitter because my name has been dragged through the mud. There's been so many lies that have been put out about me in the last 5 months that are not who I am. So many stories about me that are completely false. So many allegations against me that are totally untrue. But I don't have the power and the money or the influence to stop that. I don't have any of that. So the power and the narrative is that I'm a liar and that I'm a terrible person and I suck. And that is what can happen. And it is what it is, you know. I'll have to fight my way back and figure out how to repair the lies, because right now half of YouTube thinks I'm an asshole, even though I know I'm not, even though I know the things that were said about me were untrue. You just have to like weed through that. And then you have people that are really doing bad things that are like David, that are hiding in plain sight. Oh gosh, I accidentally blocked him. Crap, hold on. I accidentally hid my husband. Sorry. Sorry, honey. So all you can do is move forward. All you can do is do the best. All you can do is remember that, you know, we need to give space. It's hard. It was hard watching my channel get destroyed, especially because I knew it wasn't true. And it's hard when you can't defend yourself, and it's hard when you're bound by legal constraints to say things. And it's hard when you know the truth and you can't, and it doesn't matter because the machine has said that you're guilty, even though you never even went to the courtroom. You just have to keep moving. It makes me sad. I think the biggest thing that makes me sad is that it's pushed me out of a world I wanted to be able to talk about. I wanted to be able to talk about this kind of stuff, and it has removed the layer where people don't believe me and they think that I'm a liar and they think that I can't talk about anything on YouTube. Like they say to me, like, you're not allowed to talk about YouTube. And it's like, I've seen so many people dislike you without even knowing why. Critical thinking is lacking. You're one tough cookie. I just want to be able to talk about things again that aren't just the Duggars. Like the Duggars are my safe space, and so fundamentalism is my safe space. Like I know that I'm not going to make you mad. And if the fundies get mad, I can handle that. But I want to be able to talk about other things on this channel, and I want to be able to like deal with real issues that are happening on this platform. And I don't want to feel like because I'm bringing up something that is different than what this channel is used to, that I'm somehow a bad person and that I shouldn't be believed. And there's a lot of things I am in my life, but I'm not a liar. And I've learned so much in the last 5 months, and I've learned so much about who I am and what I'm capable of and where I can go and what I can do. And I feel like I'm proving that not just to myself, but to everyone else every single day. And I'm amazed at how many amazing people in the last 5 months have come to this channel and have found my Duggars are the, yeah, well, get a life and get a job. This is my job. Thank you for your comment. I really appreciate that. Thanks for being here. So people love to pile on with the internet hate. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, there's some times where internet hate is easy and you're like, this is justified. And then there's other times where you're just like, you're following the crowd and you think you know the story. And we still don't know the whole story. Like, we don't know what's in David's mind. We don't know why he's doing what he's doing. But to me, I don't really need to know why he made that decision. Have I ever done foodie beauty reactions? No, but I saw one of my Twitter friends talking about her today, and she was like mad at people or something. I don't usually do the binge watching or the binge eating channels. I try to stay away from them, but thank you. I appreciate that, Jenny. You're sweet. I just appreciate all of you guys. So this was what had me triggered tonight. And this is why I wanted to talk about it more than anything, was that I just wanted parents to know that this guy that a lot of young men look up to is doing this kind of stuff. So maybe you need to familiarize yourself with David and check in with your kids to see if they like him, and perhaps have a conversation with them about consent and power and what's not okay, what is okay, and talking about who they look up to and why they shouldn't look up to a man like that. I haven't watched him, and I don't like. We don't have a good. Josh and I just do not have a good. Nah. You can look into his catalog and see what he's said about me. So we're gonna stay away from him. But if you like him, you can go ahead and like him. I do not. I've been subbed for over a year now, and I know that you're genuine. I've never doubted your intentions. You're so objective about reporting stories. I'm sorry about the last night. Thank you, Madison. I'm so glad you set boundaries for yourself, and you've always said you're not going to follow channels about eating disorders, and you've stuck true to that. I don't like to talk about the binge eating channels because it is an eating disorder thing. No, that's not why I don't like him. He's been very awful to me, so. But you can like him. And that's on you. Yes. Yes, so if you have kids, you might want to block his channel. That's not the kind of stuff your kids should probably be watching. And if you are interested, you can contact his sponsors and see what they're doing. I'm very concerned about that. I'm very concerned about that. I'm so concerned about that. But do me a favor, before you go, give this video some thumbs up. I know I don't have the ratios on right now. I always do that when I'm live because I get hit a lot with negative. People love to bomb me. My channel has been bombed so bad by hate and by thumbs downing and by hate watchers. So it doesn't happen on my uploads. It only happens on my live streams. My uploads always do really, really well with the likes and the dislikes. My live streams always do terrible. And so I try to make sure you give that video a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for 140,000. This is why I'm triggered, because David Dobrik and James Charles are doing things that are predatory, and we really need to talk about why we have these people on this platform. Bye, guys.